Welcome fishing fans and welcome back to part 3 of catching all of the fish here on the Fishing Planet. And today we're at the Mudwater River in Missouri and we have 16 species of fish, 2 new species of fish in this lake and 31 fish to catch altogether. So let's crack on and get right to it. Okay, so fish number 1 here is a Bluntnose Minow, and this comes in just a common form. Okay, to start things off, we are going to travel just facing the boat, opposite the boat side, and we're going to cast out towards the weeds in the middle, just to the left. We are going to be using dough balls with a number 10 hook, fishing around 18 inches deep. Okay, fish number 2, we have a Blacktail Shinner, and this also comes in just a common form. So for the Blacktail Shinner, we're going to be fishing in the same location but with the feeder rod using dough balls with a number 8 hook. And fish number 3, a common Shinner, and also just a common. Okay, so still fishing in the same location with the dough balls and a number 8 hook on the feeder. Okay, fish number 4 is a green sunfish, and it's also just a common. Okay, so we are going to change location a little bit, just fish on the other side of the weed. It's easier if you just switch to the boat side. You can catch it from where it was, but this time using the bloodworm with a size 16 hook. And fish number 5 is a Pumpkinseed, and this comes in a common and a trophy. Okay, so for the Pumpkinseed, we want to be fishing with the dough balls. Again, staying near those weeds using a number 8 hook on the feeder rod. Okay, now we have a fish number 6, a bluegill, and this comes in a common, trophy, and a unique. Okay, so next up is the bluegill, and for this we're going to be changing location. So you want to be going to the top left hand corner, and as you drop in you'll see some weeds right in front of you on the right hand side. And we want to be using the flies with a number 1 hook, and we only want to be fishing around 10-12 inches deep, and just cast into the left side of the weed and let the float drift across to the other side. So for the unique, I managed to cast this on the feeder rod with the flies as well. To do this, you just want to be casting just at the back of the weeds, and the time of day where the weather is starting to get warm, making its way to its peak. And fish number 7, we're going for a white crappie, and this comes in a common and a trophy. Okay, so next up is the white crappie, and for this we'll stay where we are. Just look over to your left, and you will see some logs or tree branches growing up out of the water. Using the wax worm with the number 10 hook on the feeder, just casting behind it. Okay, coming up to the first new fish here on this lake with the yellow bass, and this comes in a common and a trophy. Okay, so next up is the new fish here, the yellow bass, and for this we want to be using the night crawlers with a number 1 hook. And if you travel to where the boats are and go to the right, there will be a little cut through. Follow that round to the end, and you want to be casting out to near the weeds at the far side. Okay, fish number 9 is a bigger fish now with the black bullhead, and this comes in a common and a trophy. Okay, getting to the heavier fish now with the black bullhead, and for this we want to be using the pet food, and the best way to do this is go to where the boats are and cast just in front of you, not too far, probably halfway between you and the weed on the feeder rod. And fish number 10 here is a channel catfish, and this comes in a young, common, and a trophy. Okay, so now we're on the catfish, and for this we want to be using a small cut bait, and we want to be fishing opposite sides of where the boats are and casting out just short of the ledge of where the boats are, and that is where we'll catch the big catfish there. Okay, fish number 11 is a freshwater drum, and this comes in a common and a trophy. Okay, so for the drum, we want to be traveling to where the boats are, but this time taking a left and following that all the way around to the end. And you want to be casting out on the left side, just in from the weeds, and there's a nice little hole there. On the feeder rod with the number 1 hook with night crawlers. And fish number 12, we've got the grass pickerel, and this comes in a common and a trophy. Okay, so moving on to the pike now, and for this we want to be using a narrow spoon, and you can catch this in many places. For me, I prefer to stay where we was and just look over the lake, and you will see some logs, trees growing out of the water. Cast right in between them. You can use stop and go, straight, twitching. I find stop and go really helpful. And fish number 13 is the chain pickerel, and this comes in just a common. So next up is the chain pickerel, and for this, the same thing that we did with the grass pickerel, casting out over in between the logs growing out of the water. Again, using stop and go, twitching, or straight. And fish number 15 is a Bofin, and this comes in a common and a trophy. Okay, get into the fish that like to fight with the Bofin, and you will need some strong line for this as well. So for this fish, you can catch it on the narrow spoon or the medium cut bait. Those are the best two options. Still fishing in the same place, casting out for the narrow spoon onto the far side, using stop and go, twitching straight, doesn't really matter. But if you're using the cut bait, medium cut bait, use the feeder rod and fish it on the bottom. It's better if you were to travel on the other side and just fish there. You don't have to cast out too far. And fish number 14 is a largemouth bass, and this comes in a young, common, and a trophy. Okay, moving on to the largemouth bass. For this, we're going to be using a bass jig. I'm using a 1/8 ounce with a size 1/0 hook, and we can cast this anywhere out in the lake. And using a stop and go, straight, or twitching. I prefer twitching, which works better in this scenario. finally, the last fish here on this lake, which is also a new fish in this lake, which is a short-nosed gar, and this comes in a common, trophy, and the unique. And the final fish on the lake here with the short-nosed gar, which is the last new fish on the lake. And to catch this, we want to be traveling to where the boats are, and then taking the light, following it round to the end. And we want to be using the large minnows on a feeder rod, size 1 hook, and casting out to the far side just in front of the weed. You can also use the large cut bait and the crawfish. I managed to catch the unique fish on the crawfish, and you can catch this where the weather is going towards its peak again, just like we did with the bluegill. So that is it for Mudwater River here at Missouri, and I hope that this guide has helped you catch some of, if not all of the fish here at Mudwater River. And next time we will be traveling all the way over to Colorado for Rocky Lake. So expect some trout in the next video. Until then, happy fishing.